And to be honest, I never saw that series.
No.
That was I saw that, I looked up on YouTube that final episode, just some meme on Facebook.
We are live.
All right.
No shit.
Without a net.
Nope.
Okay.
You son of a bitch.
We have 1 minute. I've been only watching hockey right now.
Cole beat me to it.
Yeah.
Roundtable 2.
This is S.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
with your host.
They're not that pointy. They're
So in Alberta, we have the Battle of Alberta. It's the Edmonton Oilers versus the Calgary Flames. And the rule Canada made is we can only run one stadium this year. So we chose the Edmonton Oilers Stadium. They just got knocked out. Calgary redecorated their stadium.
Oh!
Is it black and red?
Red, yeah.
It is?
Red everything. Like they took all the Oilers crap and covered up with flame stuff. Red.
If they didn't want that to happen, they should have won.
25 seconds.
Still with us, Tony?
Yeah, he's just muted.
Okay. 10 seconds. Well, close to. There we go. Now we're 10 seconds.
Now we're 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, now we're 7 seconds.
Oh, Jesus.
Bye-bye.
We talk about the serious
Hold on,
issues.
stop.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4. We talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. Tonight, it's Roundtable number 2 of 4, so hold on to your seats, folks, and enjoy the ride. Tonight with us, we have Tony LaCroix, our former Astral team member. We have Eric Markham, our scientist. We have Barry Gaunt from the Into the Fire radio show and Kentucky MUFON. We have Francie Bullock Miller with our S4 psychiatric therapist. And we have Joe Algeier, our master of pointy sticks, and our S4 geologist. Joe, how are y'all doing tonight?
Most excellent.
Perfect.
Awesome.
So, hold on. There we go.
We will. What's up?
I don't think they were able to hear them. All right.
We have a technical...
I'm sorry, guys. I'm having technical difficulties here. We were unfortunately not unmuted during the whole intro.
That's okay.
So, yeah, welcome to S4.
Shit happens.
I guess.
Yeah.
We are going to have fun.
If shit don't happen, we're not doing it right.
Right? Absolutely. And it's 2020, so what else, it's Jumanji. It's Jumanji year, so I don't get surprised by technical issues.
Right.
Oh, so how's everyone doing?
Doing good.
I'm doing good, huh?
Are they here?
Guys?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, my God. This has not happened in a long time.
Spreaker drop?
Hey,
Skype drop on me?
They're all here, and they're talking.
But it's not coming through.
Ruh-roh, Reggie.
Welcome to the amazing world of live radio.
No, we love technology.
Yeah.
Everyone hold on to your seats. I didn't mean that literally. Yeah.
That's all correct.
It's the cursive into the
Hey, you
fire
guys
radio
there?
show.
Check 1, 2, check 1, 2.
Going.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Well, this is going to make for a boring round table.
We could just change the name. We'll change it to Square Table.
Square table.
Just a square table?
Square Table.
The
Volume
quad table.
2.
There's only 4 of us.
Right.
All right,
I can hear you
everyone,
guys.
just
You
keep
can't hear
talking
me?
until we can figure
I can
out
hear
how to
everybody.
pull you into...
I can hear you.
Not only that, but I'm wondering right now if we're on air or they're on air.
I don't know.
Anybody?
Anybody in the chat
How
room?
how
Who's on air?
Can you hear me?
How's the power bar doing?
I will be right back.
I cannot
So
find
who
the
is
chat
moving
room.
on
I'm
the
trying to
power
look
bar?
for it.
We are, and they were.
Okay, who do you hear, Tim? Do you hear us or do you hear the Skype side?
I'm monitoring
Skype Live,
Facebook, so if any of you guys hear me, Eric Markham, give me a shout out here on Facebook.
It's us?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's you.
Okay, so we need to pull Skype in.
I'm here to do cool tests with you.
Check. Okay, thank you, Tim.
All right. Can we hear you guys again?
Hello.
There you go.
Hey.
Okay.
All
We're back.
right. Look
I
at
need you
that.
to go back outside and
Excellent.
know if they can hear them.
Okay, cool.
Oh my God. Okay, so Tim, can you hear the rest of the panel now?
Barry, throw out a test sound. A couple of them.
Can you hear Barry?
I hear Barry.
There you go.
Francie.
Yeah?
All right. Okay, we're back rolling.
Hail, the gang's all here.
Let's roll with it.
Rock and roll.
Absolutely.
I don't know why
If
it's
they
not
didn't-
monitoring them.
If it didn't do it, you wouldn't think we were live radio.
Right?
Oh,
Well, that's the joy of it. A podcast, you can go back and edit it.
Let's not even
And
talk about issues that we've
when
been
you're
having. With...
live, you can't really edit live radio.
That is so weird.
So anyway, right?
That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Always.
Which Eric?
It's Eric it is Eric Markham's fault.
It's Eric's fault.
All right. No, let's blame the combat medic, right? Grunt? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Tony, since you're the first one, the last one talking, what's your first question tonight? Right?
Bring it.
But you know what? Here's the thing, though. Our listeners love hearing about astral. We get asked astral questions quite frequently. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, your S4 scientist likes hearing about astral.
Right? Right? Well, that's the thing. Well, no, you've seen mantids too, haven't you? You've seen the mantids too, as well, I believe.
What was the one that used to...
They look like a giant praying mantis.
I think I'd shit my pants.
It's okay. After it was
So-
done eating your head, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
So here's the difference, whether or not they can astral, or did you see them from the astral? Okay.
So for an alien to be astral, it's got to be basically have a soul? Is that what actually...
You know, I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say they have to have a soul, but they
They have to have an energy body.
they
of
have to
some
have an
kind.
energy body. Which means if the Greys which means the Greys are astraling, that proves they aren't bio or they aren't AI.
I wouldn't say that because even
Advanced.
AI, if they were advanced enough, would have something, an energy to them,
Like,
and
does
be
that
able
mean-
to
can a
circuit through their
sunflower astral?
energy.
Huh?
Can a sunflower astral?
No.
But it has an energy.
There might be sunflowers in other dimensions.
But it has an energy body.
I think that any
I don't know.
Well, I know animals can dream walk
Right.
because I've experienced that with my cat.
No, that would be a question for Tony. Have you ever seen an animal in astral?
Or a sunflower.
You have. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. I think the funniest part, and that's why it's fun. It's fun having you on the show tonight because I think the funniest part was the cases that. So I've got the client sitting there saying, "My dog is going down the hallway," and Tony's going, "Don't worry about the dog. The dog's just following me around." So yes, we know animals can see astral. Right.
My cat freaked out that time the portal opened in my closet.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to say, I think anything with a consciousness can astral.
Oh, this is so leading into my question. I love it.
I would say any being,
Yeah.
anywhere, as long as it has consciousness, is capable of astraling.
Yeah, the soul's got nothing to do with astral. It is
not soul travel
It's a
or-
consciousness.
No, it's a consciousness.
Consciousness?
Yeah. It's
It's
your
your-
consciousness leaving your body and going
basically
into
your
the astral.
energy body.
But
is what's
isn't
moving.
okay? What's the difference then between consciousness and soul?
It
Two
depends
pounds.
on
I'm not allowed
what
to
your
answer that.
belief system is. Because I can't say that... It depends on your belief system what you contribute to a soul. In my opinion, because I'm honestly agnostic, in my opinion, I don't think there is a difference between a soul and consciousness. I believe consciousness is your soul.
I'm in the same.
But depending on your religion, your soul has other aspects to it.
Right. What do you think, Tony? Okay, so remote viewing is how do you even explain that? So
Okay.
remote viewing. You can only observe. You can't actually interact. When you look at the CIA's remote viewing program, they consciously observe. They have a set grid coordinate that they have the controller. They don't call them I can't remember what they call them. I believe it is a controller. So it's a two-person process where the controller is guiding the remote viewer by a set of grid coordinates. Whether it's earthly grid coordinates or I have a theory that in some cases it's astral, because it's weird because if you read some of the remote viewing books that have come out, they remote view Jesus Christ. They remote view the moon, Mars, aliens, and they come up with some interesting descriptions and whatnot. So, how would you remote view the moon? I mean,
Ask Ingo Swan.
so I do. Tony? Right. Well, and that's the thing. We've had listeners ask, well, how come the astral team doesn't go, astral some classified locations? Well, you're picking a battle that we don't really want to mess with because they have their own astral team. They have their own remote viewers. You can't tell me they don't.
They've got to have some kind of wards set up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They know if they're being observed.
They have their own observation points that are astrally or remotely monitored. We know that just from the MyLab case we did. Huh? Right.
Not with a fire, no.
Yeah.
Right. So in answer to your question, but at least you can admit that. Some people can't admit that. But in answer to the question, I'd say any of the races could probably astral if they wanted to. If they knew how to. And I've got to say the battle that we had where you killed the red reptilian was probably the most interesting battle that I've observed, and from the physical plane, obviously, but. that was only one of two astral cases that we've handled that she's actually been on, working with you as well. What was the other one? The other one was, oh God. And you know what's interesting? That night, there's actually a UFO that came looking for her, or looking for our headquarters, which showed how strong the barriers around the house are, because we had aliens across the creek that couldn't see the house, and they couldn't find her.
Is that the one where they followed us that night?
Yep.
I remember seeing the craft.
Uh-huh.
Good.
No, that was a different time. Oh, dude, in the last, so we started the astral team in 2012 and just ended in 2019. So imagine how many things we have. Huh?
Yeah. Y'all did this stuff.
But that's why it's great talking to you, because, you know, for 7 years we handled between 5 and 10 cases a day for 7 years. I don't think there's any team in existence that can handle that kind of a caseload that we handle. Yeah, that was globally. So, yeah. Which one? Oh, a lot of shit. Pine Gap. And what's interesting about Australia is I don't think there's any animal there that's not poisonous or deadly.
Yeah.
Hey,
If it doesn't want to eat you, it wants to sting you or bite you, yeah.
I'm telling you, last time I checked, a platypus was not poisonous.
Yes, they are.
Are they? Really?
The
Oh my goodness.
males
You know
have
what?
venomous spurs on their back legs.
There we
Oh,
go. I
God.
lied.
Okay, so, yep.
Or try, yeah.
Yeah, some of them just can't, but they really, really want to.
So, Joe, what's your first question tonight? Okay. Oh God.
Yeah.
You'd have to prove it, yeah. Now there's now you know you can hire a team to protect you. We've had that happen. We actually had the astral team protecting an author, and I'm not going to say any names, but while he was writing his book, he was actually under astral and remote viewing attack by the government and certain alien races because they didn't want his book put out. So the astral team actually was on watch while he was writing his book. You remember that one, Tony? Yeah.
Now, you could also just send...
Yeah. Yeah. It's so like we gotta do an astral show.
Well, okay, I have a follow-up question to
Or an
Joe.
astral trap. You could set up an astral trap too. I mean,
Like,
a remote viewer, I don't think so. No, they have to actually astrally come in. Right.
so if someone's remote viewing, do they can you actually see them, like
No.
in astral?
A remote viewer, yeah. You've actually encountered remote viewers too. Yeah, but they can't interact and they're not a threat.
But can they project something other than themselves, like an astral where you can make yourself into something else?
They're not a remote viewer then.
So is it possible that this thing isn't a remote viewer that's visiting Joe and it's showing him what he wants to see, kind of? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So no. So Cole's question is, could it be something besides Jessica Alba projecting itself as Jessica? Could it be something, an entity besides Jessica Alba projecting itself as Jessica Alba to make Joe think it's Jessica Alba? Yep.
My question is, why was that a problem?
Well,
Okay.
but it kind of is if it's not actually her.
Yeah, unless it's not her.
Then it is a real problem.
Then it is a problem. Yeah. Well, considering dragons come from the ninth dimension, and dragons can astral, I don't think your dimension has anything to do with it. Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what.
It's possible.
Too far above our vibrational plane to
Well, the night, and the night we had the big battle, we had the reptilians, including the red reptilian, which is the queen of the reptilians of that particular race. We also had an energy slug, which, yeah, do you remember the slug race? So the closest I can think of to describe that one would be like, would you agree, Tony, something from Tremors? Yeah. And so one of the team asked, how do we kill it? Do we slice it? And I said, no. And right when I said no, She said, "Oh shit, that's why you don't slice it. They turn into two." Yeah,
Salt.
but fire killed that one. And as I recall, what? No, fire killed that race. There was another race that was. I would try it, yeah, but there's another race that was a translucent energy. The mantids were there. I mean, I think we encountered like 5 different races in that battle, if I remember right. This was like about 3-4 years ago. And once... Huh? No, the demons helped you. If I remember right, you called in some demons. You gave the red reptilian to the demons, and that's what kills me. No, it might have been the Greys, but you know we the demons did. But that's what kills me. Is so many. You hear it all the time. You see it in every group you go to. That, oh my God, demons. Well, not all demons are bad, and it kills me so much when so many people want to attack you. Oh, all demons are evil, and everything's a demon. No, it's really not. Do you really think? And out of all the cases we did each year, we might have, 2 actual demons? Out of 5 to 10 cases a day, times 365 days a year, and we've got 2 actual demons. That's rare. Right. Absolutely. And most of our possession, I would say 80% of our possession cases, quote unquote possession cases, were actually spirit attachments. Because a spirit attachment, one, it changes your behavior. It causes pain, usually in the back of your neck or at the base of your spine, because that's where they attach to the most. It causes disorientation, behavioral disturbances. Well, yeah, I'd absolutely agree. So, yep. Yep. We kept Francie busy. But I remember the first SOAR show I was on, and it was the emergency management show. And the minute I said not all demons are bad, I got blatantly attacked in his chat room. It's like, really? It's like, no. But yeah, not all demons are bad, folks, and not everything's a demon. Right.
Yeah.
I'll be.
Yes.
But here's the deal. Right. Right.
Kind of sounds like the Robert Aspirin books.
But here's the other deal. Do demons enslave? Most of the time when we had an enslavement case, it would be a non-demonic malevolent entity. Because there's hundreds, you got to understand, there's hundreds of different malevolent entity types. Not just demons. So, a lot of times you go into a case, and there might be 5 or 6 spirits that are trapped there. They're trapped there by a malevolent entity that once we remove that entity, the spirits willingly cross over. And that handles the entire case. Mm-hmm. So,
What's the payoff for crossing?
one of it I think is fear.
Feeding on the fear or feeding on the confusion?
I think it's fear. They feed off they feed off the. No, you're fine. But they feed off the energies, and the more spirits you have entrapped, the more fear the client's being fed, which in turn feeds the malevolent entity.
Which allows them to get stronger and they can start closing that.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
My understanding is they can feed off any negative emotion.
Negative
energy is their...
Well, it depends on the type, because some of them can feed off of positive energy as well. Oh.
Okay.
Dang it.
PBR Street Gang?
Okay.
Huh.
Listen again.
I'm up in Indiana, so I'm right above you.
Ooh, there you go.
I was born in Indiana.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So we are working on that issue.
We are
I'm
having
in
so
Indiana
many
all the
technical.
time.
So much technical.
Yeah, you're not that far. It's just...
All right, so
Hey,
There we go.
Hey, PBR, can you hear us? Okay.
Yeah, I got it
He's
fixed.
saying okay now.
okay, excellent,
perfect.
Moving along.
Jeez.
So, Francie, what's your first
We'll
question?
put that on Eric also.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's always my fault.
Okay. So one of my questions is about jinn. I'm interested in jinn, and I don't know very much about them. However, the house that I lived in Kentucky, the most recent time that I lived in Kentucky, I was working with a Native American elder, and like as a teacher-student kind of relationship, and I told her that there was something weird in my garage. Like when I went into my garage, I would, like, the hair on the back of my neck would stand up, and I always felt like I was being watched, and stuff got moved, and stuff disappeared, and I hated the garage. It was uncomfortable, and she came and told me that she thought it was a jinn. And she tried to clear it, and I tried to clear it, and it's still there. I'm sure it's still there. So, what can you teach me about jinn?
Oh, jinn.
So,
Oh boy, that's That's a big question right there.
According to some mythologies, the jinn were the first people of the world. They were the dominant species. Then humans came along, and God said, these are now the rulers of the planet, and that's why the jinn tend to despise humans or try to, screw humans over or let them screw themselves. Those sort of, like the backfiring wish and the mischievous blockings, and they just don't care for us much. They look on us as usurpers.
So jinn can travel, don't get me wrong, but they technically do come from the Middle East. Oftentimes you'll find soldiers came back from Iraq or Afghanistan, well, not Afghanistan, but mostly Iraq, and they'll bring an artifact or something back from Iraq with them. I've heard many cases of that. And there'll be a jinn attached to them. That doesn't mean they can't come here on their own without being attached to something. But yeah, they are really hard to get. They're really hard to remove because they're tricksters. They can manipulate. They can. There are, from what I understand, they are actually harder to remove than demons are. You actually had a jinn case, did you not, Tony?
I have. So the best way that I always dealt with removing these, and jinn are similar to demons, and they love their contracts.
Mm-hmm.
If you can set up a contract and set up stipulations, if this happens, you're leaving. But they're going to counter negotiate. If this happens, then hey, I get your service for this long time. But if you can set up a contract to work in your favor, and it's something that you can do, that's probably the easiest way to get rid of jinn. And a lot of them have egos, so you can also bet, hey, let's play a game of chess. And if I win, you're leaving. If you win, then I'm owing you a year of service. So, but if you set up terms and set up a contract, a lot of times they will listen to the contract, or they'll agree to it. And once they agree to it, they will. If you win, they will abide by it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I take that very seriously.
Just make sure you win. Just
That's how I dealt with most of my jinn. Yes, make sure it's something that you feel you're capable of doing.
Yeah, they'll honor it more than most humans will.
Now there are some good jinn out there that will actually help get rid of another jinn.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But now there are some of the older ancient jinn can be very nasty, if you will. Sometimes
that grudge.
Yes. There's certain things that they don't like. Certain types of when you're a lot of people just use a certain kind of sage. Well, if you're using a black mugwort sage and you're adding essential oils to it, some of the oils drive them insane. So if you're trying to get rid of something like that, just don't do a saging and know what you're doing in the saging. That's the other part. Half the time you're just going to pee them off.
Well, can they be reasoned with, like non-contractually? Can you just say, can you just go like one-on-one and converse and say, hey, this,
you can sit down and have a
negotiation?
parlay with them and have a cup of coffee with them and talk to them. But normally they are going to say, okay, well, I'd like this. What are you going to do? So
yeah.
They are that kind of entity, and they are the most ancient of entities. And they are seen here in Kentucky because of the caves. They love caves.
Right. And that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that is so big in this area that people aren't paying attention to is jinn. You know, I think one of the best books ever written by Jinn was written by Rosemary Allen Galley. And if you
I've
could
heard
find
of her.
that, if you could find that book, there are several different ways to remove Jinn in it, and she talks quite a lot about the Jinn. And there's 2 different books she wrote on the Jinn. One is very hard to find, and the other one is because she goes into Jinn and aliens and everything else, and that's the tough one to find. But she does have another good book on Jinn, and I would suggest that if you have a problem with a Jinn, that would be the book that I would look at, and the author that I would choose to help out. Rosemary Allen Galley, before she died, wrote 64 books on the paranormal. And she was a personal friend, and worked with her with Society of the Supernatural, and just a dear lady, and missed terribly, but she was a mainstay in the paranormal, and her knowledge of the paranormal was just immense. So I would look at her books to help you out.
How do you know? How do you differentiate? How do you know that you've got a Jinn versus something else?
Well,
You
Jinn are tricksters. You know, that's one of the bad things. And half of these things are tricksters. I mean, most of the entities are going to be tricksters. Jinn can be, as I said, they have their good moments and they have their bad moments. It depends on what you're doing and what's going on in you, if you call the attention of a Jinn, or depending on where you've been, or like Eric said, if you've had someone in the military that's been in the mountains, in the cave areas over in Iraq and Afghanistan and in that area, you know, even many of the soldiers that came back, and I don't know if Eric can testify this or not, but there was areas that were mapped out that we did not go into because of the fact that they were Jinn caves.
No kidding.
Yeah. I've heard several military that were over there that says, yes, there's cave areas that they would not let us go into because of the Jinn.
Right, and most of your sacred caves were actually in Syria. Because if you look, you know, Syria was considered extremely goddess-oriented. Because that's ancient Sumeria. Before
that was the ancient land.
Yeah, before
Mesopotamia.
Before there were borders, you know, between Syria and Iraq. Picture no borders, so that was the ancient Sumerian area.
Right.
And a lot of so I talked to a lot of Navy EOD that actually had the chance to go into those caves. And did they bring anything back with them? Yes, they did.
Yeah.
You know, that's desecrating sacred land for one. And so, you're going to piss off Jinn or any other spirit that might have been there.
Well, do you think like the Native American god Kokopili was probably a Jinn, the trickster spirit?
No, that would be a completely different.
It couldn't be a Jinn. Masquerading as a...
I don't think he would have been.
Okay.
No.
I think it was an alien.
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
I have a really weird understanding of the Jinn, and I think very differently from a lot of the people here, but I go off of Arabic on Jinns, so they were born of the fire, okay, where people were born of the mud, which is why they trap them. So you'll get like the genie of the lamp type stories and stuff.
Right.
Because you need to use brick. You need to use mud, clay, in order to hold them in. Because that's our powers covering up their powers. So I honestly believe that in the Middle East, we have a lot of structures, like, I don't know, the pyramids and different things like that are all made of thick brick and clay. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that they were keeping Jinn out. Like, that was a stronghold for them, kind of like our castles in Scotland were for them, or any of the other things.
Well, do you hold any credence with the biblical seal of Solomon? Because the mythology is that Solomon had the temple built by jinn, like in record time, because of jinn being mad. That somehow he had dominion over the jinn for a while.
Right, but which is why it was made out of what it was made out of, so that they were not allowed into the temple. Is the way that I've always kind of looked at it, because I know that, like, red brick, so, like, people, you know how they sage or they do things like this. I know that to get rid of a jinn and to keep them off your premises, you line it in red brick.
Right. And that was a big voodoo thing, too.
Voodoo brick dust.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skeleton Key, great movie on that.
Yes.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, even the Quran talks about the jinn.
Right. The jinn are pre-Islamic, but
Do they call it that, or do they have another name for it?
the jinn, I
call
believe
it
it's
jinn.
jinn. Yeah.
Jinn or Dijin, it depends.
Yeah. It's Romanized as the jinn, Dijin.
Yeah,
The D is silent. It's just
Jinn
jinn.
is the Arabic
Yeah.
version. PBR says put it down well in the chat room. JINN is the Arabic version. It was Romanized as DJINN or anglicized as genies. So I see more as the genies being the good jinn.
Yeah, the genie
Obviously.
is like the genie is the anglicized.
And it really, you know, you see the portrayal of the jinn. You get the lamp bottle and you open it up and the genie pops out. And that kind of shows the contractual side that Tony was talking about of, you know, I give you 3 wishes.
And watch you hang
Right.
yourself.
You know.
Exactly. So the other thing with them that I've always kind of gone off of is that because if you go by voodoo beliefs or if you go by hoodoo beliefs, they believe in a fire demon, which would basically be the same
jinn.
as the jinn.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
just
But then you get into
it's their
the lesser
version.
jinn, the Ifrit.
Exactly, which is why they went out and they used all the red brick dust, and there's a lot of different ceremonies and different things that they do with the red brick dust and with clay itself.
Yeah, red brick dust was supposed to keep evil out. Nothing could cross it. And if you look at that, it's interesting. We use sage today. So if you look at cultures, the red brick comes from more the voodoo, the hoodoo. Whereas you look at the Native American side with sage, which
Right.
was purification and protection.
Right.
Which that kills me too, because so many people think, oh, I've got a
Sage is the
spirit.
be all and end all.
I can just sage everything and it's all gone. Well, no,
You
it
can sage
doesn't.
everything and piss something the hell
It
off.
doesn't work that way.
Off. You can.
Sage won't remove a damn thing. It'll just piss whatever's there off, and it's not going to leave. Or if it does leave, it might leave to appease you for a second, but it'll come right back in because you're not putting the protection out.
Right.
Yeah, sage doesn't have much. I learned the hard way. Sage doesn't have much effect on the fae.
No,
No.
none.
And speaking
No.
of, okay, so this is actually kind of cool too. So speaking of Jinn and Fae, these two creatures are like mortal enemies. They do not get
Totally.
along. They do not want to get together at all,
No.
and they stay as far away from each other as humanly possible.
Well, they're both ancient races.
Right.
yeah,
Precursors to
yeah.
humans.
So they've had enough time together that they know they don't want to be anywhere near each other.
Nope.
Which is why, in some beliefs, the Jinn went and they took over the lands of sand, where the fairies and the Fae went and took over the lands of like forestry and stuff like that. They divided the earth that way.
Absolutely. So we have about 10 minutes till we're done with the first hour. Barry, what's your first question tonight? Or was the question you asked earlier part of your first question?
Oh, no. Well, the first question that I've got is, do you think that social media has helped or hindered the paranormal?
Hindered.
Hindered.
Absolutely.
I would say both.
I'd say it's a little both.
I think
It's hindered it because there's so much bogus stuff out there, but I think it's opened up a lot of people's eyes and that didn't think there was enough of this stuff going on, and they're hearing stories that they've never heard.
Absolutely.
Making people more aware, which is a good thing, but there's a lot of fake stuff out there which is hurting it. So it's kind of both sides.
Do you think that having this broad spectrum, social media, all this exposure, maybe brings certain thought forms into creation that maybe shouldn't have been?
Oh, look at Slender Man.
Well, absolutely. That's the negative side of it. I do think the positive outweighs the negative. So, okay, I have to do a little more research to validate a story. Okay, I can do that. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have to do more research to, prove a story false. I can do that.
Yes, but the problem that I have with the whole internet in general is the fact that somebody can put up anything. And they can say that this was a quote by this person, or this is historic fact because of this. And if you have somebody that isn't checking their sources quite often...
But what are we as investigators? We're researchers first and foremost.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You got too many people who are researched by meme.
But that shows also the, teams that don't do research, that don't validate a story before they just jump in feet first, are the ones that will fall on their face.
Right, because I've had plenty of people who come and throw me a little article blurb from Wikipedia or something like that and say, see, I told you this happened. And
I laugh
to be
because
like,
Wikipedia is not a source.
Well, okay, except for here's the Farmer's Almanac of 1942. It actually didn't,
Right.
So I just showed a video like that to Jalen last night. So I've heard all kinds of things about how the government is tracking us through masks with microchips inside them.
Right.
And so this video came up, and we've always tried to instill in our kids, listen or believe a quarter of what you hear and only half of what you see.
Yeah.
And if you watch the first 30 seconds of this video, they're right. They're tracking us through masks.
Mm-hmm.
Because he cuts open the mask and he starts pulling this small microchip out. But then a bigger microchip comes out, then a small webcam, then the back scratcher.
And then a drill.
Yeah, you've seen that one.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's the Mary Poppins mask.
Back, yeah.
Why would they want to track you through your mask when everybody has a damn phone that they could track you with?
Right?
Yeah.
And you can turn on your Bluetooth or your internet and they track you. One thing I'm from Indiana. There's a gentleman in here from Kentucky. Without social media, Eric, do you think we would have ever actually met up?
Nope.
Without social media and the Roundtable. What about the people, say, over in Great Britain or Australia or wherever, reaching out to FMP? Without social media, do you think they would have reached out and got a hold of us to help them in cases?
Absolutely not. That's why social media played a very pivotal role in the improvement of the paranormal, of people getting help. 90% of our caseload came from social media.
It played a pivotal role.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is
we
gave them social media. We gave the paranormal social media. And then all of a sudden, it became like everything else, every other part of social media. Let's fight about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, exactly. It's going to be thought about and everything else.
The problem isn't social media.
That's my point.
People.
Well, no, you're absolutely
If it
right.
weren't for my cell phone, I never would have met any of you people.
Right. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, ego plays a big part in all of this.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that are started teams and everything else, and we've discussed this 100 times, and social media does help teams, and they can put videos out and everything else, and they can have 1,000 billion likes, and they can do all kinds of stuff. But it doesn't mean that they're here for the right reasons or doing the right things. Full Moon was doing the right things. Night Stalkers does the right things. There are teams out there that do the right things, and are here to help people. And there's others that are here for their ego and for TV shows or whatever else that there is.
Right.
And they are very social when they get on the line, and they're always filming, and they're always going, oh, look at me, and this is what we're doing. And then when something else comes along and somebody else puts something up or whatever, then they seem to want to blow up on them and say, "Oh no, that's it." As we know, as we talked earlier, I posted a thing in social media. I don't post a lot of pictures. I don't do a lot of stuff because just of the fact that everybody goes this and that. But what I was surprised of, and I think all of you have seen this photo, what I was surprised of is people saying, "Oh, well, is it possible that that you can see a full body apparition that is a solid like person and it has skin and all that other stuff?"
Right.
And I'm like going, "Are you kidding me?" Yes, you can. I mean, seen it 100 times. I don't know what these other people are doing, but yeah, I've seen full body apparitions that I would swear was a person. You know, they look just like an individual.
Right.
Well, like your picture, Barry. There, when I saw that this morning, you said, "Look at this! Look what we captured." Now I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, "Wow, did that woman in the white dress see the thing standing in the woods, the dark shadow?" And then
Right.
she said, "No, the woman in the woods, she was also an apparition."
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes!
Right.
Are they aware of each other?
Yeah, it's really strange because even when you blow it up, you cannot see the face of that lady at all. It's almost like she's turned and looked at the camera, or she was looking at the camera when it was taken.
I thought she was looking away, and you could just see her hair in the back.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine if she was looking at the shadow figure. Now, what was strange about that whole photo is that I was in the back of the property. It was at lunchtime, and I came in, and that was the only person that came to the hall that day for the tour. No one else was there or anything else, and I was sitting there trying to get a dental appointment because I got a heck of a toothache, and I'm going to have it extracted on Monday. End of that story. But so I'm out there, and I'm in the car. Yes, I didn't. I saw her taking the photo from where she was standing, and I know for a fact there was no one there in a long white dress. Now, whether it is somebody from the 1860s or in that era, I don't know. Could it have been someone else that died later? Yes. You know, the spirits come and go in many places. They could have been someone by the street. Octagon Hall is like a collectorville for spirits. You know, just because, my grandfather has been there. You know, I've actually talked to my granddad there. He has nothing to do with the hall, but he has come there, you know, and others have talked with him, which is bizarre. It's like we have a little bus that comes and then it drops off people for 2 weeks and then they go away. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Vacation place.
Spook Central.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it does have that stuff, but the true matter of the fact is being in the paranormal as much as we're going to try to debunk it just as much as anybody else is. And this lady was a tourist just shooting a picture. She has nothing to do with anything in paranormal, and certainly it's not going to fake the evidence and put something else in it. But I can tell you from me being there that no one else is there, but we still have people that are asking about, "Oh no, it's too, it wasn't cloudy, it wasn't this, it was just like a physical person standing there." And I'm going, has anybody else seen a full body apparition, or am I the only one that's seen one that looks like it's real?
Right.
All right, with that, it's time for our first break tonight. When we come back, Eric Markham is up for his first question tonight. So stay tuned. We will be back right after break.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Break. You're going down.
And welcome back to S4. Tonight is Roundtable number 2 of the month. We have 2 more to go, and then it is our 24-hour marathon. And we have two guest speakers plugged in so far, one on the cryptid and one on UFOs and aliens. So, what we're looking for, if you live in Japan and are an investigator in Japan, and we want a guest from Japan that can talk Japanese culture lore on the paranormal and how you guys investigate over there. Same with Scotland. So if you're Scottish and you live in Scotland, we want a specialist on Scottish culture lore and the paranormal. Those are 2 of our topics that we're trying to get hit on for the 24-hour marathon.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, Cole, how are we doing on the art contest?
All right, so guys, we are still looking.
Saved and still had some juice on it, and I put my tooth. All of a sudden, my tooth's acting up.
All right, guys, sorry. We are still asking you, the public, to send us your best paranormal artwork between August 1st and September 30th. We will be accepting your 2D artwork, which we will then be featuring on Facebook, Twitter, and our webpage during the month of October. The hosts of S4 will then pick one to win an S4 swag bag valued at $75. All 2D mediums accepted, must be 18 to enter. All artwork must be PG. No nudity, please. Entries should be submitted to s4radiowinner@gmail.com. That's s4radiowinner@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Don't forget to mention the passwords.
And we also have a secret password. So, throughout the marathon, there will be 5 secret words throughout the 8 shows. The first 5 listeners to come up with all 5 words and email them to s4radiowinner@gmail.com wins a prize.
Pick
All right.
Pick me.
So, Markham, what's your first question tonight?
Okay, now before y'all jump on this one, no, let me. I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to articulate how I want to ask this. But with transhumanism, these people believe that they are going to be able to download consciousness to an artificial body. I don't think that. I think there's a unquantifiable, untransferable core to our being that isn't going to be downloaded. I think the first person that does this is going to go, "Oh shit, I died." You know, and they're going to see this artificial body. Now, I think once that first receptacle is made, then you're going to be able to pass on, and it's going to be a continuum. But I think when you get downloaded, that essential core that is that, that inner voice, the spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call it, that core of your being, I don't think that's going to be downloadable. I don't care how many terabytes you use.
But can you imagine that? Oh shit, I died. Oh wow, look at my hands. Oh, I'm a robot.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the essential core that is Eric Cooper, Eric Markham, or Cole Weichel is. I think you're going to be saying, "Oh, well, that didn't go as planned. I'm supposed to be in that."
Right.
But that part of you, that inner voice, that inner fire, whatever you want to call it, that core consciousness. I don't think they can download. I don't think consciousness can be downloaded.
I agree.
And I agree also. I don't believe that any chance at all that conscience can be that way.
I think you would lose your moral structure. I think that
so
guy.
playing devil's advocate here.
Yep.
Do you think it could be possessed? They get something like that. You think another entity could move in there, take it over?
I think it'd be free. Yeah.
Astral travels.
Like a walk-in.
Or could astral travel take it over?
Possible. I don't know about that because it just seems like, okay, a coworker and I discussed this morning, and it was like, you have the logical part of your brain, you have the limbic system, the emotional part, and those two function to create a third part. And I'm not even sure at this point if we even know where consciousness resides. Because there's cases, well-documented cases of people who were brain dead, no neural activity whatsoever, having still gathering data, still having a conscious, experience, even though their brain was dead. So I don't think the brain functions as the house of consciousness.
I'd agree. I like PBR's quote, statement, "We are safe until the AI start writing code."
Well, the thing is, guys, like you got to remember too, we are advancing still fairly quickly in that. Like, yeah, you on our phones, you can get about a half a terabyte memory card that will be accepted on the newest phones.
Right.
It's not a full terabyte yet, but the Bronto byte is 1 quadrillion terabytes.
What the hell?
And the U.S. military does have that.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. Yeah.
But I'm still... I'm not saying you can't download every memory, every experience, every thing that's in the brain. But I think that what's going to happen, you're going to lay down and say, I'm getting transferred, and that whatever receptacle gets the transfer, there's still going to be that core thing that is, that undefinable thing that is us.
Human.
And I just don't think that's going to be, I don't think that's transferable because I don't think it's part of the brain. I think you could have a Bronto byte of information.
I don't think they're taking it from the brain, and I think I honestly believe it can be duplicated.
But would you...
look at what they did when Facebook AI and Google AI were in a room together, and they put them up against each other. They created their own language. Right?
I have a...
But that's not the same as saying downloading Cole Wagleitner into this bionic body.
So creating their own language, it wasn't just the language that scared the guys who were doing this experiment. It was the fact that the language had personality. Now, if they got to that point where they actually created an AI that had personality, using that knowledge, we are not that far off from being able to take a personality and upload it.
But would it be... I'm not saying you could make a duplicate.
True personality, or was it just the way it expressed itself that we thought it might be a personality?
Bingo, algorithms.
It's just using language.
I think there's a...
The problem is the algorithms are so complicated.
The spark.
The soul, the spirit. I'm not saying that you could make an exact duplicate, but I think if you were seeing this happen, you would be conscious of the fact that it's something.
Okay, so
I think you'd make a Xerox copy of the person, but I don't think that the thing that continued on would take everything with it.
So that's the thing. No, in my belief system, anyways, I believe that consciousness is eternal. Okay, that every single person's consciousness is eternal.
But where does it live? Is it downloadable?
So the problem that I have with that is if you are choosing to upload into a new body instead of, let's say, being reincarnated into a new body, well, your consciousness continues. So if you choose that, you would put your consciousness into that. So therefore, you would already have the spark because you chose to do it that way versus the other.
There's Dennis.
I just have a hard time.
Dennis,
I understand what you're saying. If it was a willful,
if it's a conscious choice, then it's going to do the same thing that any other.
I still think that core being, you might end up with an absolute perfect duplicate of you. But I think that the core that was in that body that got downloaded, that essential essence, is going to be sitting there watching this thing walk off saying, well, shit, I was supposed to go with that.
Well, of course it is. But the same thing can be said about reincarnation. Because you're coming back. You're coming back with a consciousness. You're coming back with thought process, everything else. But you're a new consciousness based on that person's experiences and everything else. So it is, I think it would be possible to transfer a consciousness, but it would be like a clean slate consciousness.
It wouldn't be a continuation
of you, except it would be, but it wouldn't be.
That's okay. So, that's what I'm getting at.
So you
could do a duplication, a perfect duplication, perhaps, but the me that's me right now, the person that I am, is not going to. I don't think you can take 100% of, like I think Francie said, the soul is not going to go with it. I just don't think.
Isn't that what grays are? They're like, they lack the spark. They've got everything but the spark.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would say that they have their own version of a spark because they're a different entity and a different being. So
Let me get myself.
What Markham's trying to say is, if we took Markham and we downloaded his consciousness or whatever into an AI body, that new AI body wouldn't enjoy sitting around on the couch watching Star Trek movies.
Then there's no use.
I think it would. Missing.
I honestly think it would. Well, I think it because it has every piece of your memories instilled into it, and your feelings.
There you go.
That's the thing. You're going to have to develop an AI limbic system because what the logic, just pure logic, like a computer AI, isn't going to have the emotion from the limbic system.
But again, we've only seen 20% of what the scientific community has actually come up with. That's the problem. Well, we don't know what's out there.
But the other 80% is going to the military.
No, the other 70%.
I would say
10%
there's at least
of that
10%
isn't going anywhere. Because there's at least 10% where they say this is too dangerous. No one will ever find out.
Right.
Okay, can I take my jump off here and get my second question? Because they're kind of hand in hand.
Sure.
Okay. Given sufficient evolution and the idea is if you have this artificial intelligence or you have this synthetic consciousness, given time, will this entity that is created from the amalgam of technology and what we downloaded from the body, would it eventually develop consciousness and develop a soul?
No. So that is a matter of belief, because I do not believe we own. I don't believe we can sell our soul because I don't believe we own it.
Okay.
Oh, that's
it doesn't belong
one of
to
my
us.
questions.
If we don't own it, it can't be developed. It's not developed by us.
I don't think you can develop a soul.
You don't think you can develop?
No.
I'm thinking of movies like Bicentennial Man, where he seemed to have evolved into
something more.
Like I'm talking about evolution, or the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica that were indistinguishable from humans. They bled. They had heart.
Okay, so like,
and they had a religion
after he becomes.
After you evolve long enough, and given how technology can replicate and how much faster evolution is in this technology as opposed to a biological machine, do you not think that eventually?
So basically, we'd become a world of Autobots and Decepticons.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey,
I'm good with
if
that.
I could be a Ferrari, I'll be a Ferrari or an SR30.
I'll be a striker.
I'm going to be the Walkman.
Well,
Okay.
But I mean, you're looking at what would, I guess what I'm saying in a nutshell, could AI eventually evolve into a sentient, self-replicating, creature with, a moral code and a soul?
Who's to
What
say,
constitutes
okay,
a soul?
So here's what I'm thinking on as far as that goes. Who's to say that we haven't?
That we're
Because
just meat
honestly,
robots.
if you were to look at our entire system, everything, the way that everything works, how these interchanging pieces work and everything else, we are too perfect.
We're meat robots. Yeah.
Right. So we're biological robots ourselves.
Yeah, biological.
So,
I got to break in for a second. Now we're saying that so many people are saying that nothing has been playing but music for the last 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
There is no music playing.
Uh-uh.
I don't know what they're listening
Eric, what you do now?
I got two of them on my screen saying that music's been playing for the last 20 minutes.
The problem is we got people actually listening to the show, so I don't know what they're listening to, but it's not ours.
Yeah, it's not us
Because they're responding to the show.
Yeah, we have people in the chat room that are listening to the show.
I'm going to go check on it, though.
Real quick, so Izzy's saying on that concept, can they be gifted a soul after reaching a certain level of individualism and personality and morality?
Exactly.
So now we're leveling up.
Well, you gotta wonder though if take the movie AI.
Yes.
Right.
At the very end, he was given
at the very
yes,
end.
yeah.
It seemed like these things had compassion, curiosity. I mean, they weren't just mechanical robots. They seemed to have a lot of human attributes beyond just the pure logical.
Right.
Yeah, Barry, tell him to reset the browser. Sometimes it sticks on the intro and commercials.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
So Dennis is saying, so there's a movie called Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it.
It's awesome.
The rich and the poor get to have new bodies according to wealth or just die, as long as that chip in the neck is kept intact. You can be placed into a new body or clone over and over again. So this rich guy brings back a detective back to life to solve his own murder.
Right.
I need to watch that.
It is very
movie.
good. It's a good series.
It makes you sit and kind of go, huh? But
I do think, I don't think that the initial download is going to get everything that is you. There's going to be something. However, from that first downloads point of view, I think subsequent downloads, you're going to have a continuum of consciousness, or that thing that was created from the initial human donor is going to have a continuum, which I think is the way Altered Carbon works. The initial person, I don't think the download realizes that it's left itself behind.
I would put it this way again, so reincarnation, okay? You move into a new body, you start over. But certain people have thoughts and know-how of their previous life. Okay, like they can recall what happened in a previous life in this scenario or that scenario. I think it would be kind of like that, where you are starting over, you are having your own thoughts, because most of what makes us us is based on the experiences that we have been through.
Which is the logical part of the brain and the limbic, the emotional part.
You wouldn't be able to have the same ongoing thought process if you've gone through something completely different than your original had.
So the original, all of the original is not...
What about the people that get a head injury and all of a sudden they could speak fluent French?
Right.
Is that from a past life?
I honestly think that it is
honestly, with a head
into
injury, so that and look at TBI, traumatic brain injury. We had hundreds of soldiers that came back with TBI. Some of them, for lack of a better term, they are not quite comatose. They're vegetables. And So, having undiagnosed TBI for a long time there, I was having dizzy spells and things of that nature. Having any kind of a head injury is a hit or miss. What can happen to you anyway? It could be. I'm not trying to argue. It could be a past life, but I don't know. I just think when you're talking any kind of a brain injury or a head injury, you're opening a Pandora's box. What can happen to you?
You're corrupting the file.
Yeah.
Look at the guy who he was a dynamite tamper back,
right?
And a rod went right up through his jaw. Yeah, and it damaged his frontal lobe and completely changed his personality.
Right.
Right. But see, this is the problem: is that we as an entire species do not understand our brains enough.
No, there's too much.
To even think about trying to figure out how to upload any of that into something new yet. And not that we don't understand technology enough, but we don't understand our own brain enough. Our own electrical signals, our own everything. So I think until we can understand every part of the human brain, how it works and how it saves memories, how it gets sick, everything about it, we're not going to be able to even think about uploading that into something else.
Right. And as you saying, Eric, there's a difference between having a head injury and developing dizzy spells and getting hit in the head and suddenly speaking a language fluently when you've never heard it before.
I don't even think they understand that phenomenon yet at all because...
Well, the other thing is there's been people...
Where's it come from?
With the traumatic brain injuries that come back and they speak with an accent... Then,
right.
And it's just, it's natural to them. It comes out.
On that, look at evangelicals. They speak in tongues. And sometimes they speak in a whole different language.
The light language.
That's completely
Where
understood.
does the vocabulary come from? If you don't have the full French vocabulary,
right?
How
and
do you
then
know
you
it?
start talking French, how? Unless that goes to my belief that all knowledge is this
a cosmic
broad,
consciousness.
yeah, this broad beam.
You can access it from
Akashic record, the Akashic record, if you want to call it,
or from the consciousness itself.
Which opens up another kind of being.
Say, if you could download a brain, why wouldn't that brain, and you would have the life that you just have now, but why couldn't that brain eventually be able to access the consciousness and be able to pull from that? It may be able to. But my thinking is it's all kind of mute, because why do AI when nanotechnology would be able to, you could put nanos in you that will replicate cells, and why would you ever have to do that? Because you could, if you put nanotechnology in yourself, whatever was ailing you or whatever you needed to fix would be able to be done by nanotechnology, and you could live forever.
Kind of like when Philip J. Fry ate the bad egg salad and the worms made his body better. But yeah, I agree. I'd rather keep a continuum. I'd rather keep this that I am going and improve on it than take a risk of downloading into this synthetic form and losing something.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell no, I want a fresh start. Bring it. I'm going to be like
I want to be a Ferrari.
I just want to be skinny.
Can you...
And I want to take this...
Anyway.
Okay, can you imagine what kind of interpersonal relationships
let's,
you'd have? I couldn't be married to an AI.
This could be an entire show. Let's move along.
So,
what?
Here's a question.
Okay.
What would happen if you downloaded two people's personalities into the same body?
Then you would have split personality disorder.
Bipolar,
schizophrenia. Could that be what happens with schizophrenia?
The stronger the
multiple
alpha.
personality disorder.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is fascinating in its own right.
Absolutely.
I think that those movies. The one with It's part of the M. Night Shyamalan trilogy where the guy had the multiple personalities.
All right, Cole, what's your first question tonight?
We're not going to ask that one tonight. Okay.
How much wood could a woodchuck
Have
cut?
you guys ever heard of the Great Filter or Great Barrier Theory?
Talking about the flat Earth?
No, great.
It's a
Okay,
great filter.
okay.
It's considered called the Great Filter or the Great Barrier. It is a force or event that stops full communication with alien life from Earth.
Okay.
No, I've never heard of that one.
What's that?
No. I'm fascinated, though.
Do you guys think it's possible that there is some type of barrier that does not allow us to contact alien life at a full Earth? Like, everyone can communicate.
I have heard that we were under quarantine, like
Frick, not again.
An alien quarantine?
well, to prevent contact from outside.
Like a prison planet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're the Australia of the universe.
I can't remember her name, but they actually made a UN ambassador for Earth. And I'd have to look it up, but she's part of the UN, and she's actually represents the human species to aliens.
Huh.
Have you guys heard of that?
Venus was? Or,
Huh?
what was that? Valiant Venus?
Valiant Thor?
Yeah, Valiant Thor. That was it.
Valiant Thor.
No, this is more recent.
This is more
Lay down.
Okay, United Nations appointing ambassador to alien world.
Gabe Fuentes.
Maslin.
No.
How the hell can they do that?
It's Maslin. God bless America. Oh, Malaysian astrophysicist Maslin Othman.
That's it. Yep.
Okay, but how can they decide who is gonna? Okay, so obviously there was no like world election on the fact that there was somebody that was gonna speak for the entire.
But that's what's interesting. So they've made her she's currently the director of the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, which deals with space-related issues,
how you
ranging
get
from
hybrids.
international cooperation and peaceful uses of outer space to managing the growing problem of space debris.
Huh. So she's a space
Yeah, that
janitor.
doesn't have anything to do with aliens.
Yeah,
No,
she's
but
just a space janitor.
She will be named as the UN ambassador to extraterrestrials if and when they contact humanity.
Okay, I don't like that. I don't like that
That's
at all.
not completely true. He said she deals with outer space affairs. If someone's like Bill Clinton is tired of normal human women,
Send them to Mars.
yeah.
Can you imagine the new extraterrestrial dating app?
Oh god,
She's the extraterrestrial pimp.
space grinder.
Space grinder. Hey, I'm up for
Oh
it.
man, you know.
So extraterrestrials need passports.
Well, they did in Men in Black.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like as,
I would think there would probably be some kind of official documentation that,
Okay, but how can
What's
how
the
can
firmament?
anybody decide on one person to speak for everyone?
that's the UN, though.
I understand that, I really do, but
Maybe that's why we pulled out of the UN.
okay.
Good idea.
And like
Yeah.
like Jay Ron says, she's in charge of the firmament. But it's not a big stretch when she's in charge of the firmament. Extraterrestrials come down, which we know they've been here for years, thousands of years. Yeah, she's already doing that job. Why not make her the extraterrestrial contact? But I'm right there with you. Why? How can you make one person speak for the entire planet?
Well, without some form of global voting or some form of global, like, hey, let's decide on this particular person to do
Well, I
this
think
for
in
us. Like,
the way the UN works, the General Assembly thinks they're speaking for Earth.
Mm-hmm.
They
yeah,
take it
but-
upon
Yeah.
themselves to...
there's 193
Dictate that.
countries in the UN. They voted her in.
Okay, still.
Sorry, 190, and there's 2 countries that are non-members.
So, as far as your barrier, maybe she goes around the barrier. Maybe she goes.
She's got like a
through the barrier.
So whoa. Now she's like our border guard, but like the U.S. like the world border guard.
I think the important question is: has she been contacted?
You know what?
If
you're talking disclosure, that goes beyond disclosure.
If she's the border guard for the entire Earth, like she's busy.
Damn.
Right?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And she's doing a crap job because how many UFOs do we see?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know, wouldn't that honestly be like any border though? How many people do we see that aren't supposed to be there, or how many? Wouldn't that be the same thing?
That's a big border.
Like
for sure.
Like the reptilians that were trying to get into Mount Shasta.
Who elected her to that job?
The UN.
The UN.
UN
she
General
was voted
Assembly.
in by how many countries voted her in?
90.
I don't know. There's 193 in the UN.
So a majority must have voted her
A
in.
majority of the 193
vote,
nations must have voted her in.
Man, then she is busy. She is being.
And
in
how
a
much of
space
that, though,
friggin-
is a political move, but trying to bring Malaysia, which has sort of been its not an outlaw state, but sort of like the Amish of the world. A way of trying to bring them into the family.
Into the fold.
To actually
bring them
be serious about that, though, she is a fairly busy person because if she's in charge of all the space junk,
yeah.
Think of what SpaceX just did.
That's what I'm saying. That in itself is a full-time job, and then you add everything else to it. That is a lot to put on the plate of one person. I mean, obviously, she definitely has people working under her, I would assume. Like, she picks, like, a group of people. Or whatever.
I'm sure she's got a whole committee, under her.
That's still a lot of stuff to put on one person's plate.
Absolutely.
That's insane.
So,
wouldn't you think that the aliens would vote her in before they would push that through? Because she's going to have to communicate with them, right?
Well, maybe they pulled her up, and like the four people that they thought pulled up to like the Galactic Council or whatever, and they decided, hey, she's the one we want to talk to. I mean,
that could well be that this is like a baby step toward full disclosure.
So we're talking like Federation status now. We're part of the fold,
right.
Well, I think we're probably applying.
Right.
I think
we're
the
on the
talking
ground
monkeys
floor.
got to get their
We're on the
crap
ground
together.
floor of that fold.
Yeah. We're in the basement hearing the noisy neighbors upstairs and wondering, why we weren't invited to the party.
Right.
Oh, man.
Isn't it kind of going to be up to the extraterrestrials to decide who they want to talk to?
But we don't know that this person isn't, because there's so much going on behind the scenes with the extraterrestrial question.
Well, I think that's why we have so many contactees, is because they want different ideas of the world. That's why they abduct people, they take people, or they contact people from all different races, religions, creeds, all different areas, is because they don't want a pinpoint, like a freaking, this is what the world is. No, they want to know in general what every piece of it is.
That's what's interesting, too, because you have different races that are more prominent in different continents. And, you look at, so in the more common global races are the reptilians, the greys, the mantids. But you've got the Nordics, which are more seen in Europe.
Right.
You've got
Zeta Reticulans and...
Yep.
I think that's the Benny and Barney Hill abductors was...
right. Mm-hmm. So you have different races that are more prominent in different countries. So I don't see how a UN ambassador is going to...
Well, so I wonder about that too. Like if they have their own galactic, what is that called?
Galactic
Consortium.
The consortium. Okay.
Consortium.
So if they have their own consortium, then are they sending specific races to specific areas because they think that they could talk to them the best, and then they come back with the knowledge and say, hey, this is what I picked up from these people. This is what I picked up from these people.
Right.
Just like a session of, like, one of our congresses or whatever, where they all come from different perspectives, and they say, here's what our understanding is.
So you don't get, like, the Twilight Zone episode where they got this guy who was a braggart, never did anything, but they took him at face value and thought he was like an Ubermensch.
Exactly. Or you got, like, just one opinion from one race. Okay, so if it was just the Greys, then if they don't feel emotion, they wouldn't understand our emotional connections. So they send down other races as well.
It's just like talking to someone on Facebook through a chat, and they think you're mad because they don't see your emotion.
They're probably sitting around the table.
I see that.
They're made of
and I mean, and Dennis here in the chat room is saying, or maybe they do not consider us life forms at all. We really, in their eyes, we could be an amoeba, man. They could look at us and be like,
amoeba is a life form.
Well, yes, except for the fact that we don't sit there and talk to it and expect it to become like us, I guess. We look at it and we go, it's an amoeba. Okay.
Well, but an amoeba doesn't...
After this year, they're not looking for intelligent life forms on this earth.
Yeah.
No.
Beat me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life down here.
Right.
Look, we got to have something good going on because they're all here checking us out.
Well, you know, what's always amazed me is, okay, we're a race where you have Hitler, you have Stalin, but now that same mess of chromosomes, you get Mohandas Gandhi, you get we are so
vastly different on different spectrums.
So opposite. It's got to be puzzling because these what we know of these human races, or what we think we know, they seem to be homogeneous.
You know,
and we're not.
I would talk about that too, and I would say that I believe that every race has its different spectrums. I don't think that, again, like any race can be summed up as this is all that they do. Because there has to be inner workings that lead up to that. You can't have a bunch of scientists without people that are putting their equipment together, people that are feeding them, and all that jazz.
And we've brought that up before, that every race has their own culture. We're just seeing the science side of that culture.
Of this culture, or we're seeing this of this, because that's what they're sending here for whatever reason. Because that's what their interest is in our planet. They're interested in the science of it, or they're interested in the food of it, or whatever the reason is.
Well, I've heard other people say that the biodiversity on this planet
is ridiculous.
It's not a common. It's not common to have this much biodiversity, and that's one of the reasons that they study.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's a possibility.
So, Francie, what's your? Go ahead, Barry.
You know, as we're talking about this, I've got to always bring up this one part because it seems to be a key part. Because Project Serpo was in 1965, and if they were doing something with interplanetary things in the Beta Reticuli, we're doing something like that. It makes sense that we've had a ongoing thing. This is the same thing with 20 and out. You know, when you have the 20-year program, we've heard so many other people talk about. As you know, you do 20 years and then you come back at the same place you were when you went in. You know, the same age and everything else, even though you did 20 years. So it could be a possibility that this lady is doing this, but it was formatted way back in the early times of our history in 1965.
Huh.
Different. I'll have to look into that. I don't know
I'll
much
look
about
up
that,
it,
honestly.
Yeah, it's something that I think that would answer a lot of questions. If you haven't looked at it, it's quite interesting. It's an interesting program. So.
Okay.
You know, Germany is the only country that doesn't have a protocol for first contact.
Germany?
Yep.
I'm surprised.
Every other country in the world has a protocol in their books.
Well,
Germany
it could
does
be
not.
because they've already had that in 45.
Right?
The Foo Fighters and the Bell.
I would say looking at Nazi technology and all the theories of their contact. I'm sure they do have a protocol if they're not still in contact with races. So what's your next question tonight, Francie?
Okay, so this kind of goes along with what we've been talking about. Lots of people, and I was interested in this for quite a while, years ago. Lots of people follow channelers who say that they are able to contact alien races, and then they bring, conversations and ideas and channel an entity from another race, or like another alien race. Do you think that is true, and what do you think about it?
Well, like Eric was just saying about the Nazis and their technology, didn't they have the Vril Society?
Yeah.
Where they had channelers that contacted aliens that brought all kinds of knowledge down to them?
We're gonna look at that in September. We're actually gonna do a UFO cult show in September, because if you look at you just Google UFO cults, there's easily 10 plus. And Marco and I did a UFO cult show back 3 years ago. Well, actually,
on S4
E squared.
Yeah.
And yeah, Vril was one of them. You've got the Arthurian Society. You've got, and they all have channelers involved.
Was the Tool Society part of that too, or
Which
was
one?
that more supernatural Earth?
Which one?
The Thule Society that so many of the upper echelon Nazis were part of, or was that more supernatural?
I think that was more
earthly?
supernatural.
Okay.
You know what? Today you've got the Romptons, you've got Jay-Z Knight, you've got a whole slew of them. And
I will believe in channelers when a channeler says, "Okay, this is how you do faster than light travel," and they lay the technology out for the whole world to hear, and it works.
Right.
I honestly have to disagree with you guys, which is awkward for me because
you disagree, Kayla. Never.
But I'm usually pretty science based on my thought processes. I really am usually, but for this one I have to disagree because I have to say if we can say that remote viewing is a possibility. If we can say that astral travel is a possibility, that all of these things exist, that we know that they exist, right? Why couldn't there... Not saying that everybody that says that they're a channeler is a channeler. Because, again, not everybody that says that they're a psychic is actually psychic.
Right.
Not everybody that says that they can astral travel actually astral travel.
Right.
Okay? But I believe that there could be somebody out there that does do that.
Oh, I have no doubt there is.
I think there may be, but I think the ones that are making a
they're
living on it and being...
I think they're just
the big money.
are few and far between.
Yeah,
they're few and far
the
between,
true
but I
ones-
do believe they exist.
Okay, so
Right.
then that brings me to this part B of my question: discernment.
Well, okay, discernment. That's easy. When you're looking at someone like Jay-Z Knight, who's charging $1,500 or $2,000 a session,
fraud. Oh, did I say that wrong?
yeah.
Can we do that?
Huh? I think it goes along with the psychics that are charging $500 a minute. When their whole goal is fry, when their whole goal is not in the betterment of humanity, but to make a profit off it, and it's proven false anyway, that's where your discernment comes in.
Okay, the way that I would look at it is if you are actually channeling and you are channeling a alien race, then the thing would be is that you wouldn't need X amount of money from somebody because you would already be set.
Right.
Like, I mean, as far as that's concerned, you would have information and thoughts and abilities and the power to do certain things that you would already have enough money to take care of your everyday life through their technology or whatever it is, that you wouldn't need to charge $1,500 or $500 an hour or anything like that.
I think the discernment comes in if the person that claims to be a channeler is motivated by profit.
Yeah.
I believe that they're probably faking it.
I also believe that they're faking it if they are motivated by fame. Okay? Because nobody's going to contact a self-centered asshole when there's so many choices available. So if they're going to go to somebody, they aren't going to go to the sociopath. They aren't going to go to the complete destructive asshole. They are going to a specific person for a very specific reason. They're going to pick a Gandhi
as opposed to a Stalin.
Exactly.
Hopefully,
depending on what their race is and what their agenda would be.
Yeah, but it might be, hey, you're my kind of guy.
If
Kill
somebody
another
wants
million.
to pay me $500 a minute, I'll tell you anything you want to hear.
Exactly. And they do. I'll change my voice, cross my eyes, and I'll be channeling Daffy Duck, you know?
and they usually do.
Well, if you watch
how many of those channelers actually fear the government, though, trying to get them? 'Cause, I mean, if they actually channeled, I wouldn't be. If I could actually channel like that, I wouldn't put that out there because the government would be trying to hire me.
Yes.
Or take me to make me work with them.
Perfect.
Put it out there. I think I would hope that the ones that do channel are smarter than that.
Perfect example. I honestly believe that Tesla could most likely channel. Okay, and instead of coming out and saying, "Hey, I'm channeling this,"
this is where I got my information from. He
did say that he got some information from other sources. So him coming out and being able to do these things that were so far beyond his time, I believe that is what the people that can get channeled are doing. They are not coming out and starting cults and doing all this weird stuff. They are bettering humanity through technological advances.
Tesla got his
100%.
He got some of his greatest ideas. He said the whole AC current generator appeared to him already made.
Yep.
It was like, it was a download, basically.
Well, Da Vinci has said this. Albert Einstein has said this, that the best ideas came to them in fleeting moments or in dreams or in thoughts, and they weren't necessarily their own.
Those are channelers. Those, I think, are
I believe those are what we could call the channelers, where they are so few and far between, and they have to be people that can actually use the information that has been given to them.
Go look at the New Age section of any bookstore, and you'll find the channelers' books.
There are a ton of them, but at the same time, when you're using consciousness, and they're talking about the consciousness, and they're talking about using the well of information that the consciousness gives you. Have you ever noticed that with Tesla, with Einstein and everything else, I mean, even Edison, what happened? There was more than one or two or three people given this gift.
Right.
Yes.
That they got this information. So there's certain people that will do something with it, certain people that will go so far and not go all the way. But that's why we had 2 radios. That's why we had 2 of everything else, because of the fact that there are people that will continue to take it all the way.
Well, if you look at the invention of the telephone, there were 3 people that had patents on the same basic idea at the same basic time, and it was whoever came up with the working model first that ended up being down in history. So.
That was the problem with Tesla. He was a great idea man.
Yeah.
Tesla came up with ideas, but then he had so much coming out of his head. He needed a shop manager. He could say, "Okay, I want you to develop radio," because they finally went through Marconi's radio. They keep saying Marconi started bull crap. Marconi took Tesla's technology and made the radio. You know, he...
Well, Tesla, the company Tesla in general, like if you actually look at the engine design of a Tesla, it is based off of Tesla's technology, which is why they came up with the name in the first place and everything else.
There's so much about, you know, there's so much of... He is one of the most tragic geniuses in history. The man ended up dying in debt.
Yeah, at
with
like
nothing,
80-something.
in love with a pigeon.
In a hotel room.
But
you
know, the odd thing about it is that someone stole all of his work and all of his writings, and now what are we seeing? We're seeing a Tesla engine. We're seeing all these other things that are coming out.
Well, that goes on what Tony was saying.
That defeats the thought of someone doing it at a government base or someone else coming and using it and disseminating the information to others.
Well, and Dennis says it well with the seed thrown on different ground. So you've got these alien races that want to get the information out, so they throw it to 2 or 3 different people, see who succeeds with it the fastest.
And they're going to pick people in this specific area that needs to be done.
Well, I think the turning point on radio was the fact that when Tesla was in what was that spring? He had his lab somewhere in Colorado, and the name's escaping me. But he actually had a radio functioning and believed that he was talking to extraterrestrials on his radio.
Well, see, and I don't think it started with, like, Tesla either, or any of these things that are scientific advancements per se. I think it started with early man, and hey, here is how you plant a field.
Yeah, where did metallurgy come from?
Here is how you make a sword. Different things like this. Well, all of them had to have an idea that came from somewhere as well.
There had to be an
originator of an idea, because nobody has any pure ideas that are not based off of something that we've already learned or some knowledge that we have.
Who was the first one to look at this rock and say, I bet if I heat that sucker up, I can make iron out of it? Or,
geologist.
Probably.
I mean, everything from the wheel and beyond, like, it came from something else.
I can see where the wheel would be. You see a log rolling down a mountainside, you think, hey, what if we cut that log into little pieces?
What if we made it round?
Yeah,
exactly.
What if we put an
that goes to my theory about, whose idea was it to eat the first thing that came out of a chicken's butt?
A very, very hungry caveman.
Right?
Yeah, you look at some of the foods we eat, and who was the first person that looked at an oyster and said, look at that living booger, let's eat that.
The one that's always gotten me is a crab. Okay? Because they have to be boiled, otherwise they're just goo. Like, you had to know how to cook it, you had to know how to eat it, you had to know how to crack it open. Like, who was the first person that decided that a crab was this giant spider-looking thing would be awesome?
Isn't there a part of it that you
real
have to take out?
Yeah. Very hungry,
yeah. You got to remember,
hungry.
Originally lobster was a poor man's food.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were everywhere.
Yeah.
You grabbed a lobster, you boiled it. Nobody wanted to eat something that looked like me. So,
Why is it so expensive today?
Because it was a poor man's food, and then we ate it because we were poor man, and now there isn't as many left.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
It's very hard to get. Look at
I know.
TV shows that they're out there trying to catch crab all the time.
We need to go back in time.
Job. That's why it goes up in price.
We need to go back in time.
Well, not only that, but, I mean...
Where's the time machine at? I'll bring some lobster back.
Like holy bread being a delicacy, seriously.
Yeah.
And now look at it everywhere. I ain't got bread everywhere.
Well, it just you look at how you got to wonder if just every so often, every few generations, you get this download. Like you're saying, 2 or 3 people. It's like, hey, toss this aside. It's time for them to take the next step. Find some worthy brain, consciousnesses, and give them this information.
Absolutely, and it's still going on. It's still going on now.
Well, I think
it will
Elon
go on
Musk
until
might
the end
be.
Of time. I do not believe so.
You don't think he's all that in a ham sandwich?
I absolutely do not.
That at all.
I believe I honestly don't think he's
if he was, the
intelligent.
government would have snatched him up by now.
You think he's just a rich hobbyist that looked into some Tesla?
Honestly, I think he's a figurehead.
Do you really
I don't
think the
think
government
he comes
would
up with his
snatch?
ideas.
Do you really think the government would let it go out?
Government tool, that's all he is. It's another way for the government to put somebody else out there, and you can't get a FOIA out of anybody. You know, you couldn't get a FOIA out of Bigelow. You can't get one out of anywhere
because
else.
It's private industry.
You know, private industry.
Exactly.
And you can't out of the government. But Obama changed that. He was there, so most of the FOIA now are you pay a
big bunch
refund, and they can turn you down by saying because of a reason of national security.
The other thing with Elon Musk is misinformation is everywhere with him.
Right.
Okay, so you got his Twitter page where he goes on rants about pyramids and aliens and this and that and different things, and but the world's a simulation. Now the world is not a simulation, and aliens created this, and that's what they made this. Okay, so you have so many different ideas coming from the same person that you can't follow where he's even going. It's just a bunch of information out there for people to be like, hey,
breadcrumbs left and right.
Hey.
But that's been going on for years.
My biggest prayer is please don't let me be deceived.
It's just now you can see it.
Right.
That's the thing. Like billionaires have been doing that for years.
Yes,
that
it's
kind
just
of stuff.
easier to
it's just
see
now
now
you can
that
see it
there's
with
technology
social media.
and social media.
And on that, we have to take a break. So this is the last break of the show, and when we come back, Tony, you are up.
All right.
You are listening to S4.com.
with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4. Glad to have you tonight. It's roundtable number 2 of 4. And we just got confirmation Barry is going to be on the marathon with us for the entire 24 hours. Right?
Barry's like, huh? Is there another Barry on the air tonight?
So yes, J-Ron. Actually, the Antarctic is one of the specific topics we are talking about on the marathon.
I asked for that one.
Yep, hell yeah.
It should be fun.
With the fact that you can't...
All right, Tony.
Tony got disconnected.
Tony, what the hell are you doing?
All right.
He's ducking the
So
question.
while we are calling Tony back in, Joe, what's your next question?
Let me see here. Well, there's a couple things. I had a couple questions here, but earlier in the discussion, you were talking about the demons, and not all of them are bad, and basically they're businessmen. They want to do contracts.
Some of them.
And I was thinking, a lot of things that you guys were talking about during that whole section and about the gin and everything else,
right.
It came to mind. I've seen all that on the show Supernatural, and I was wondering, how close to reality is the stuff on Supernatural?
I can tell you the Wendigo episode is not at all.
Yeah, you know,
but it is very entertaining.
It depends on the creature. When it comes to the demons, so are all humans bad?
Yes.
Not at all.
Inherently evil, maybe.
But as far as realistic, I don't think that realistic.
I think they tried to start out really well with that, and like a lot of it, they tried to make realistic, but at the same time entertaining.
Right.
Because it was a fictional show to start out with.
Absolutely.
But then the whole angel and demon thing came into play, and they just took off with it because it worked. They got huge ratings off that. Them adding the character Castiel was
even bigger
insane.
ratings.
Like it was just huge for them.
Yeah.
Well, any TV show, it's about the ratings more than it is about the factuality of.
So
I wish that they had taken...
Picture demons just another race. It's religion that actually made them bad or good. Or all evil, I mean. There we go. All evil. But really, are humans so important that you think all the demons are just going to focus on humans? Hell no.
I would think they have more important things to do.
Yeah. I mean, some of them, yes, they do despise humans and they attack them. Some of them. But
So,
seriously,
imagine going to Vegas, right? You got the big table, and then you got all them smaller tables. Humans fall out all the smaller tables. We don't even make it to the big league table.
I will say,
people want to take money.
For any Supernatural fans out there, I will say, if you haven't seen it yet, Jared Padalecki, who plays Sam, has been chosen to play Walker, Texas Ranger.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I think he'll do a very good job. He has the demeanor for it.
I'd like to see him do a good series based on the Jim Butcher novels, Harry Dresden, the Dresden Files.
Right.
Sci-Fi did one. I got hooked on them.
Didn't BBC do one a long time ago too?
No, Sci-Fi Channel did one, and it didn't really follow the books that well.
What?
I think you might want to look at BBC. I think they have
I'll try and look into that because they did one season of the Dresden Files, and they changed quite a bit of it. It was still good, but it wasn't like Jim Butcher wrote it.
All right. So, did that answer your question, Joe?
Yep.
Okay.
Sweet.
Tony, what's your next question? Tony.
Okay, I had two of them, but I think I'm only going to be able to get to one of them. So, going back to Astral, because once again, that's where my expertise is flying. We've seen Bigfoot in Astral. Do you think other entities like Bigfoot can astral travel, and that's how they avoid camera footage and stuff so easily? And when I say
wait.
Astral, it's not like they're present.
So you have seen a Bigfoot in Astral?
I thought that's what you were saying. You had someone from the team up there that's seen it.
No, that's what we wanted to prove.
Okay, so let's go off of that then. Do you
So
think that's how some of these entities get into? I know it's something me and Eric talked about a lot.
yeah, because if we can show Bigfoot and astral, to me that shows an interdimensional aspect of them.
Mm-hmm.
I would say no. Okay, and the only reason that I would say that, and the only reason that I would, is when you astral, right? Where is your physical body?
Still here.
Right. So
Still
why
on
would
this
theirs
planet,
come
right.
with them? It's your astral
Do you
body.
think
It's
there's
not
a
your
creature out
physical
there?
body.
Well, I think Bigfoot exists as a.
I think he's interdimensional. He could be interdimensional for sure. He could be, but what I'm saying is, as far as astral goes, that's more.
But the thing is, aliens. When you talk about the reptilians and greys, I can almost guarantee they don't leave their alien body somewhere. You guys saw them physically, did you not?
Mm-hmm. Me, Bella, and everyone else that was on the team there that night.
Right. So I don't think the human
So
body
you
or
saw,
the human.
So let me get that right. You actually saw a ET or a gray physical during astral.
Yep.
Yes.
So that means they're
And reptiles.
dimensional. They're interdimensional then.
They
Because
they
astral to us
It's
might
just
be
another
just
form of a
normal.
dimension
Yeah,
to
just
them.
like
Right.
Just like light travel to us is something out there. It's everyday travel to them.
Yeah, we're not evolutionarily. We're babies when it comes to traveling. Is what I would have to say.
Do you think there was a point in a human evolution where we had a choice between developing mental and higher dimensional capabilities or going along the technological trail? And maybe now we're just starting to come back to melding the two back together?
I think we have a long way to go.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Can you re-explain that? So, are you saying we started out as two
I
separated
think no. I'm saying there
beings?
was a point in human evolution where we could have taken maybe a more arduous path using mental, like psychokinesis, or the things that require mental discipline.
Okay.
But
we chose
an
the
easier
easy
path
way.
using
technology versus.
And maybe now, all this upheaval and all, the way people are awakening, the two are coming back to
Meshing.
merge. That if you're going to, maybe if we merge, because I don't think we're going to find answers to a lot of the supernatural or paranormal stuff until the spiritual and the scientific
Can mesh as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
you know what I think about that is, look at, we're going to go back to the Eisenhower time and the treaties and all that kind of stuff. But, different alien races did come, supposedly, and offer enlightenment or technology, and they chose technology. So who's to say that the ones that were enlightened, that were into enlightenment, are not seeing and abducting certain people and giving them uploads, so that does even itself out, so that we do have people here that are, if you will, channeling and also trying to bring the conscious mind forward by raising everyone's frequency to be able to do that.
Maybe.
Well, okay, how about this way? We didn't necessarily have a choice, but for all of human history, from the time you wake up to the time you went to sleep at night, you were battling the elements, trying to get food and shelter and working and hard. And you didn't have time to develop the mental stuff because you were working all day trying to survive. The technology is getting to the point where all of a sudden people have free time. They're able to sit around and think about stuff now. There's, like we are right now, all these discussions, and maybe that's, you have to have the technology first to allow people the time to sit around and think about things and maybe develop the abilities.
But you know where I disagree with that, Joe, is because we were just talking about the Tesla and the Einsteins and everything else being able to pull from a source. They gave us the technology. They gave us the things that we're using.
Well, we may have had a nudge here and there. Maybe they said you got to give them a wheel. And
so that brings us to the point where it was designed already and to be able to raise everything up to be able to add that technology to it.
So here's a thought. What playing outside the box here? What if humans were supposed to develop, and we were a threat to different races if we developed? So they gave us technology to kind of keep the monkeys playing instead of developing like we were supposed to.
Well, I mean,
what if
they gave us all cell phones and it turned us into morons, and now we're not a threat?
Right?
Yeah, TV, television,
but not all. Right. Okay, so this is the problem, though, is we're thinking of this at an American perspective. Okay, because not all humans are technologically advanced. Not all humans do not believe in the spiritual. Take into account different types of Buddhist monks. Okay, so all of their existence is in spiritual existence. They have very limited technology, and they work on the enlightenment part. Okay, so we and also have
they have different races that can that talk to them versus races that talk to us.
Right, and see that, and that's what I'm saying is that we have advanced on both scales. It's just one was easier and one had more followers.
Right.
Oh, you gotta wonder though. The two are going to have to. We're going to have to meld the spiritual with the. When the age of enlightenment came and scientific method became the be all and end all, anything that didn't fall within the quantifiable, reproducible scientific realm was fobbed off as fantasy.
Well, like philosophy and science used to be exactly the same thing.
And there was a lot of false leads and a lot of incorrect assumptions based on that. That's why the two split. Yeah. I mean, you had, one time they thought, spontaneous generation from rotting meat because maggots appeared. Mm-hmm. They didn't realize that there was a scientific life cycle going on.
You're right. No, most definitely. I mean, there's a lot of different things that couldn't be explained with one or the other. And I get where you were saying that in order to actually fully explain anything, you have to mesh the two completely 50-50 together in order to actually come to what really is happening.
More scientists need to have a foot in both worlds like I do.
Uh-huh.
Well, more scientists and more psychiatrists.
Yeah,
Amen.
I would say
more open. Yeah.
I would say both sides, because you can't have a well-developed team without a scientist, without a psychotherapist, and without an open-minded team.
Yes, but you also
that gets away from the TV and the entertainment aspect.
Would need to bring the science into the psychic or into the healers or any of these. So you're talking about like a complete 50-50 mesh.
Well, I used to think that the only functional team should have been all scientists. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I was wrong. That a good team, you got to have you got to have a psychic or at least a sensitive on board. You got to have your bird dog if you're going to go hunting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And, I've had experiences in my life, and I'm not going to go into them. I'm just going to say I've had things happen to me that it didn't fit the paradigm of my training.
And that's the important
This stuff
part.
isn't supposed to exist. It exists.
Right.
I've encountered it. And, I mean, the choice was accept it and try and figure it out, or
go
deny
crazy
it.
Thinking about what.
Or just say, well, I
you can't explain a lot of that way by science,
right?
And it takes that it takes that move for a scientist to experience something they can't explain by science, and they open their mind like you did and go, oh hell,
and not deny it. Right.
And
Absolutely.
but the open mind is the huge thing. I've had experiences with patients in the hospital who had, like, they were diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, and when one personality was out, they would have a scar on their face, but when another personality was out, they didn't have a scar on their face.
Holy crap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've also, I've seen and heard about people that were diabetic in one personality and not in the other.
Boy, I wish I could have the non-diabetic
or
personality.
different things like seizure
But
disorders in one, but not the other.
You get a psychiatrist who sees that and doesn't even acknowledge it. They don't even go there.
Right.
Well, look at the amount of denial about when people would have out of body experiences. Say they die on the operating table, and they leave their body, and okay, this person is dead, looking down at their body, and they're seeing things from above. And then when they get revived, they know what everybody was saying. And, oh, by the way, I saw that little sign on top of that cabinet over there that you can only see from above.
Yes.
No.
And then that gets swept under the rug because it doesn't fit the paradigm. And that's where that's where science has become a freaking religion and not the tool that it's supposed to be. I mean, science isn't supposed to be a religion and a be-all, end-all. Science is supposed to be a tool for digging around and finding truth.
Yes.
Science is not truth. It's a tool for discovering truth.
Right, and then you can look on the other end of the spectrum, too, and you have people that are fully into one belief and do not believe in science at all. They say, oh, well, this doesn't exist because it doesn't fit with my beliefs.
Because they're living in a
because
fantasy
they're living
world.
in this world instead of this world. It's not necessarily fantasy, but it's a different line. They think in a different way because they're all about this. Where you think in this way because you're all about that. You know, like you need to have a nice balance of both in order to be able to figure out anything.
As a scientist with a foot in the paranormal, I realize that there are things out there that my science does not cover.
Yes.
That what I was trained, my way of being trained to observe and to collect data would throw this out as,
as even a possibility.
Yeah. You can't go into something like that with experimental bias, and that's the problem with so many of these researchers is they've gone into this with the debunk attitude instead of the discover attitude.
All right, Barry, what's your next question?
It's an astral question, believe it or not.
Excellent.
It's something that I want to know. It's kind of important to me when, is astral investigating the paranormal as dangerous as on-site investigations of the paranormal?
More.
I would say, I'll let Tony handle most of that, but I would say more.
You think you're more vulnerable when you're in astral?
Well, then you're
Well, it
vulnerable
scares
as
the
two
hell out of
friends.
me.
Well, I'm just thinking of how Robert Monroe, his outlook was that you couldn't. There were attachments and there were things, but once you got back into the physical,
that is so not true.
No.
I can tell you that
Yeah,
for
that is-
absolute sure.
Tony.
So when you go to a physical site, you could take stuff with you. You could take your holy symbols. You could take stones to protect you, and you can take other stuff. When you're doing it astral, you're taking your mind. That's it. How strong is your mind? How strong is your will?
sort of like a Green Lantern type
Mine
thing.
sucks.
You could put stuff around your house to protect you, but so in case, say, the entity does follow you back to your house, you can ward your house and protect your house, but they now know where you live.
And
So
is
you're leaving yourself open up for attack after that.
absolutely.
Same thing when it happens when you go physically, though. They know
Yeah.
they know you're coming before you get there. Because if you talk to them on the phone, set up a deal, they already know your presence, and the way that they can move is they can come directly into the house or anything else. So you have to protect your home to do it and keep them out as much as you can. I'll also astral, and I've done astral things in the past, and that's where I'm kind of torn, because sometimes I feel safer, but there are certain things that watch you and follow you. That's the amazing thing about the astral field. Not only is there other not only entities, but there's other things, even governmental and everything else that is working with an astral program that is coming after you and will come at you at 10 times the force.
And Izzy says, I think in both cases, in person and astral, depends on your personal protections. So when an astral with strong protections is less at risk than a person with no protections in person, and vice versa.
Right, I agree. I agree that protection is important in both.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to have a solid mind, and you have to be protected in mind, just as you are in present.
So we had protections in place for the astral team. So they would come to headquarters. They would touch down. They would go to site. They would handle what they had to handle. They would come back to headquarters. They would touch down. They would go back to their body. Reason being, if they were being followed home, they would be stopped. They'd be stuck, and they would be stuck in traps at the headquarters, and they wouldn't follow. They wouldn't be able to follow the team. Now you had those random team members that didn't follow those protocols. Yes, they did get attachments. No, it wasn't even you. You, I wasn't worried about. It wasn't you I was worried about. You could handle whatever. What? Yeah, that's why you were the team lead. But you have to leave protections for your physical body while you're gone astrally, and they were supposed to be learning those tactics from astral school. Now, once they graduated from astral school, which was only a 2-week course, then we would test them. They would be tested. Now, just because you passed didn't mean you were going to be on the team, because we also looked at personality. We looked at how well you could follow, how well you could, actually do the mission, and if you were a team player. There are a lot of different protocols that went into our selection of a team. But no, protection was very key to how we handled the team and cases. What?
There's times, no matter how much protection you have, you're still in trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing that makes us stop and think quite a lot, no matter whether you're there physically or whether you're there astrally. And it's like sometimes when you travel astrally, there's a lot of different things you can do. And in the astral plane, sometimes you have to go incognito just to kind of move around.
Right.
Because if you don't, what do you have? You have people that are there that see you and then will follow you all over the place, And
it can be, to be completely honest, I think the biggest threat astrally is from the human element.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's from other astral or from government astral.
Yeah. Government astral to me is the most dangerous that there is. I don't know why, but they seem to have a real handle on it. Now, what they've done, what experiments they're doing in the past, whether it was because of the so-called chair and the Montauk experiences and so forth like that, I'm not too sure. And that's a whole different show. going into that light. But like I said, they're both extremely dangerous, especially when you're dealing with certain things, because they do have the ability to come and look at you. They do have the ability to do it. Actually, though, do you ever think that shadow people are actual astral beings in your home?
I think they're entities in their own right.
Well, some of them leave traces, though. I mean, and would you not be able to see a remote viewer or a astral? I mean, that's another question I'll just throw in there.
I think if you're tuned to that frequency, maybe, if your brain's open to it. But then again, I don't think the brain is the be-all and end-all. I think basically all brain is a radio receiver. And we receive that part of this broad spectrum, broadband, knowledge that's being beamed out through the universe. Whatever our brain can tune to is what determines a lot of that.
Right. It says there's at least a dozen different things that are categorized as shadow people. I do think there's an entity that is a shadow.
Yes.
But
like a Hat Man, maybe?
But, yeah, Hat Man's one of them. But also,
I got him.
So you can spy on people and you will appear as a shadow. Those are easy to differentiate because they actually leave an energy trail that you can actually follow back to their physical body. That's where the difference is. A shadow entity won't leave that energy trail.
Right. Exactly. Good point. Excellent point.
And we're... go ahead.
Hi, Tony.
What's up?
Tony back? Yeah, there you are.
Hey,
okay. So, you were on a spy case, were you not? Where it was the shadow wasn't an entity, it was an actual person that was spying?
Yeah, we had a couple of those. I wish Bella would have actually done all my reports like I asked her to, but she didn't. So
yada. I've got most of the case files still on the computer. In fact, I think one of them you actually followed back to Vegas, and it was another witch that was attacking somebody.
Now I have
we had a couple of those cases.
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I have a question. Have any of you guys ever astraled into what I would call an astral vacuum?
Robert Monroe talked about
where
that.
you just, it's like astraling into pitch black and you cannot, you can't move, you can't breathe, you can't anything. Just like... you're basically just stuck in the middle of an astral vacuum.
I have personally had that happen, but it's more comforting because it seems like it's a place you could hide out forever. But it's in between two, it's like a room, it's in between two dimensions. And I think some people lose their mind in that aspect. I mean, it was talked about with Montauk also, when people were going through in making this travel, that there was a space between that you're walking, and if you get stuck in that space or you're comfortable in that space, sometimes you just won't leave. And then when you're away from your body at that point, or gone for so long, your body will deteriorate from you not being there, and then you die, and then you're there in that plane forever.
I think Tony is the vacuum. Are you still here, Tony? There you are. Okay.
Yep. Just because I'm so peaceful and relaxing, and my wife is laughing in the background. That's her. I'd be similar to that, but like the other person said, it's not the astral dimension, it's like in between dimension. And I mean, it's just like that endless void, but it's peaceful because you don't have to deal with other people.
Nothing. Yeah, you don't have to deal with anything. It's just a great spot where you want to hang out forever. You mean
Perfect
if
place
you're
for
going to hide,
introverts.
that's perfect. Exactly.
And Tony is the only one I know that can actually astral while he's driving.
Hey, it was an important case, and I don't recommend it.
And weren't they all important?
Try that one, I'll tell you. Tony, I'll leave that up to you. Holy cow.
Oh.
I can't remember what it was, but Eric's like, we need your help now. And it's like, hold on. Are you driving? Yeah? Sorry?
So I'm going to ask a question. Tony, what is the case that you remember that sticks out the most in your mind in astral?
I'm going back to the Greys and Reptile case. Only reason being, well, let me explain. Me and Bella, we handled that, and our teamwork was damn near perfect, where the rest of the team just pretty much stopped and goes, we're out of our league here. What the heck?
Right.
And then the next question, why doesn't Isabella do that same more? I say Bella, and I get beat for it. Or she threatens me with violence. But it was, why doesn't she do this anymore? And she has her reasons. But, and like I said, Eric was saying, it's one of the only two cases I can remember that she was there. But, I mean, it just went off without a hitch. And,
yeah, it was a military tactic to a T.
Well, what I was going to kind of reference this is, if you ever heard of two 50 cals talking to each other, you get two proficient gunners that know how to get their 50 cals to talk to each other. That's pretty much what it was compared to someone who doesn't know the rhythms.
Right.
It was. It made the team stop and go, are we even needed here? Yeah, we need to deal with the other stuff. You allow us to do our thing. So that was probably my favorite time.
Absolutely, because tactically speaking, taking out the red queen, essentially, the rest of the alien races didn't know what to do because she was the one that was dictating battle tactic, really.
Yeah, kind of like she was the collective in the whole deal, and she was
Well, honestly, you know what? She was. And, I've never ever heard of the red reptilian coming down to this plane I've never heard of the red reptilian coming down here.
Why did that happen? What was so important?
Had to do with the client's husband.
Mm-hmm.
He was an abductee. And for whatever reason, they wanted him.
So, like I said earlier in the show, I don't know aliens. I will not tell you I know aliens because that would be a straight lie. I know almost nothing to aliens. Greys reptiles, I know them. I've seen them. So I was sitting there and I was like, Eric, I've seen reptile. Yeah. Well, there's this red one. What is this? He's like, oh shit. Sorry for language.
No, you're fine.
But that was his exact response. And it's like, oh, that's not good.
Nope.
So
there's...
But it was funny.
You've got the black reptilian, which I believe is basically the king of that entire race. The red reptilian is by his side. She is number 2 in command. They don't come down here. So for there to be a red reptilian, the second in command of that entire race, no, that don't happen. So for whatever reason, they wanted this abductee left alone. And
I'm a little curious about one thing. You guys have brought this up several times about the battle with the red reptilian and defeating it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, what was the mechanism for defeating it? I mean, what did you actually do to defeat it? I'm wondering, did you think him to death? I have no idea.
We captured her, we fed her to demons. Literally.
Did it taste like chicken?
Yeah, well, they all taste like chicken. Let me tell you.
How do you capture one?
So you got astral combat, and it's essentially your will against the other entity's will. And how do I think of it? How do I describe this the best? You can make, like, everyone has their different preferences when they go into astral combat. Me, I carry a sword and shield. That's just what feels comfortable. Other people use different things that work for them. And it's old style combat. Imagine like that. And so either you or them are defeated. Now,
So it's
shield and protection helps so.
It's actually a fight, but on the astral level. You're actually trading blows.
Right.
Yes. And
yes,
I've had
yes,
bruises
you
from
die,
it.
and yes, you die, have bruises. When you come back, it's terrible. You know.
Yes, your physical body will actually get cut. Your physical body will actually get bruised. Your physical body does take blows.
Sort of like the Matrix.
And it will drain you.
Terribly.
So, my other question was going to be, and I've noticed this, when I was doing the astral for the team for Forest Moon, I would go through cell phones like no other. It was like every 2 to 3 months I'd need a new cell phone because mine just stopped working. Now, when I astral normally, it doesn't happen. I kept this phone for over a year, which is like a world record for me. And I've noticed the only thing I've done differently is I don't go on missions anymore. I don't do astral combat. So for whatever I'm doing in the astral combat side, it carries over because I always did all my missions. My phone was right there. I had music going in the background to help me get in that state of mind. Mainly thunderstorms. I don't know why. But my phones, they took a beating just like I did. And
you're
I'm
also
not sure
pulling
why.
from that energy. You're pulling from that energy off that phone. That phone has an EMF thing, and then you're using that energy. And as you use that energy for that from that device, it's also, that's why you're so drained when you come back. I mean, you're using as much energy. That's why spirits use, and the spirit world sucks down batteries and everything else. It can suck down your energy like a vampiric energy being that is just sucking all your life out of you.
Right.
We have those people that are alive, but you're using a device to help you sustain your energy also.
Well, you're pulling from the closest and largest source that you have, and you're trying to refeed yourself with that, re-energize yourself with whatever is close and whatever is the strongest source that's closest. And if you have your phone in your pocket or your phone in your hand, then that's going to be what you're drawing from.
I can tell you now, AT&T loves me since I stopped doing astral combat. But when I do normal astral, though, my phone, like I said, I've kept this one for over a year.
Yeah, because you're not exerting the same amount of energy.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not.
I'm not using all the energy.
Right.
And what was interesting is we had, about a 2-year turnaround with our astral team.
Roughly, yeah. If we got lucky.
Right. So not everyone's meant for astral combat. So some of the members would take the training and say, "This isn't for me. I'm going to go do healing." Others they just get burnt out. They leave. And we had a couple that left and said they were burnt out and started their own team. So to each their own. Whatever. Huh?
And we wiped the whole astral team when they were talking about Bigfoot in the trailer court.
Well, we did fire a few, but
Now, I also believe that certain people have more what you would call natural energy, or can pull it from different sources than other people can. I know that there's energy everywhere. There's energy in the world. There's energy everywhere. And even energy play, you can accidentally, trust me, end up cutting off half the electricity to your home. It just depends on whether you're a receptacle or not.
Right.
Because there are certain people that can be in there for hours and hours and hours and come out and feel just a little down, maybe. There's other people that can be in there for 10 minutes and be so drained that they can't do anything for the next day.
And like India said, yeah, even though they were meant for it, burnout's a real issue with as many cases we had. I mean, on a slow day, we might have 3. But on the average, we were dealing with 5 to 10 cases a day globally. So, yeah, when you've got, what's the longest you were in astral at any point, Tony?
Combat. Well, so combat's a little bit different, like I said, than normal astral.
Right.
Normal astral, I mean, I can do 8 to 10 hours easily. Combat depends on what the opponent is. 2 hours, 3 hours. There's some entities I went up to that I walked in and I was instantly thrown back to my body. I mean, it was that much. They exerted that much pressure,
force,
that much power. Yeah, it was. Let's go. Oh, what the heck? This isn't what's supposed to happen. And then you have to reevaluate the plan, and so I mean, normal astral though, I'd say about 10 hours I could do. I haven't really tried it to see how long I can go without, But
no, that gets risky.
I remember going on a couple of stints.
Yeah. I find that the longer you're in astral, the more dangerous it is.
Yeah,
what is your perception of time, though?
Things came.
Are you still within the arch of time like what we are here in the physical, or is time a different flow? Or is your perception, is 10 minutes in astral the same as 10 minutes sitting around the table?
So I'm going to answer it like this. Have you ever gone to the amusement park and you thought you'd been there an hour and you look at your watch, it's 5 hours later, and you're like, where did the time go?
Yeah.
Same thing can happen in astral. It could be normal, and then you could come out and you'd be like, holy yikes, it's 4 hours later. Where did the time go? I thought I was only there for 30 minutes.
I've done that with music.
It depends which, that's the best answer I can give for that.
How would I explain? Have you ever seen the movie Inception?
Yes, loved it.
I would think like that, but on a different scale.
Well, I know it. Like perception, even on this plane, time perception can be so vastly different. Mm-hmm. It's like sometimes I'll get to play in music and I'll get on this riff, or just. It felt like an hour or two went by. I looked at the clock and I'd been sitting there playing for 8 hours, but it didn't feel like it. Mm-hmm. And it's fluid either way. It's fluid astral. It's fluid in.
Let me ask you a question, Tony. I'd love to hear your answer on this. Do you believe that some abductions, since we do have missing time and abductions and so forth like that, do you believe that they can actually abduct you astrally?
I've actually heard of that.
Like a trap.
Right, and if you pull that in, and if they did something to you in the astral plane, it's still going to show up in your body as marks or anything like that. So that's why I was wondering that.
It could. But see, so I'm in the medical field. There's certain drugs we can give that's like a little needle. That, the person may not even realize they've been drugged or trapped, however. So, yeah, I would say you could. Okay. I mean, there's so many different things you can do in the astral world. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, and I've come back, I had a missing time, and I was with someone else, and it was an abductee that we experienced it with. And one of the weird things about it with me is that I had a needle mark on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I was wondering, when you mentioned needle, I was kind of like going, that's an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be more, That's what I don't know. At that point,
Then you gotta. Were you home alone?
no, I was actually in my truck driving, trying to escape a MIB that was right on my rear tail.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you didn't get away from that MIB.
Right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's a hard call. Unless I was there, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, thanks for trying it anyway.
But I mean, if you were in your house all alone for 3 hours and came back and you found that mark, then yeah, I'd definitely say it probably happened in the astral.
Mm.
So we're coming down to the last 10 minutes of the show, and it looks like we are going to have an astral show in probably September. So we'll have Tony back, and we will talk all things astral. Let's go with the first weekend of September if Tony's available. 'Cause I know, what?
You know how dead we're still going to be?
The first weekend of September.
Yeah. The week before that, we were doing 24 freaking hours.
Uh-huh.
How about let's go with the subject like, why does life suck?
Well, okay. I'll lock in today with Tony about the middle of September. And we'll go with astral.
Sorry.
Maybe even talk about a few cases we've done on the FMP team.
Yeah, sounds fun.
So, Barry, where can we find Into the Fire? And folks, if you listened last week, Thursday, we were the S4 crew was actually on Into the Fire.
Hey, we were on there Tuesday too.
Yeah.
Tuesday too.
Yeah, you're on Tuesday too. We got kicked off Tuesday. We had technical difficulty on Thursday, but we got it all done. It was a great time, and we appreciate you guys. You can find Into the Fire at www.blogtalkradio.com // into the fire. You can find me on Facebook underneath Kentucky Truth Seeker. You can also find me at Night Stalkers Paranormal. You can find me at Nottingham Hall. You can also find me at UOHA, which is UFO Hunters of America Incorporated. A new venture that we're out doing and supporting very heavily, and we look forward to good things coming from them also in the UFO field, and also paranormal and the universal consciousness.
Okay. Excellent. So, tell us about the art contest one more time, Cole.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we here at S4 know that sometimes when dealing with the paranormal, what we experience cannot be properly put into words. So we are asking you, the public, to share with us your best paranormal artwork. Between August 1st and September 30th, we will be accepting your 2D artwork, which will be then featured on Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage during the month of October. The hosts of S4 will then pick one to win, and an S4 swag bag... You will win a S4 swag bag valued at $75. All 2D mediums are accepted. Must be 18 to enter. All artwork must be PG. No nudity, please. Entries should be submitted to s4radiowinner@gmail.com. That's s4radiowinner@gmail.com.
Outstanding. So we are going to move September's roundtable to the 4th instead of the 3rd Sunday of the month. And we're going to have Astral Travel on the 20th, because that's when we can work him in.
Cool.
All right.
So September 20th, Astral.
It's not that
birthday.
Just to be clear, it wasn't that I didn't want to do that. It's the fact that I want to be 100% for that show, because I love the idea of astral travel for other people.
Gotcha.
So I have lots of questions for other people.
So maybe we'll have a roundtable on the first Sunday of the month.
Are you freaking killing me?
Then we don't gotta think.
Oh wow!
All right. All right. So next week, 3rd roundtable out of 4 with the same crew, And so, yes.
Thank you very much, all of you, for being on.
Oh, you got, yeah.
Oh, we thank you. It's our
You guys
pleasure.
are a great
It's
roundtable
fun.
every week. Every week.
All right.
So what do we got this week?
I'm just surprised. Not one whispered curse word from Francie today. That was awesome.
What the? Yeah. Oh, God. So, folks, I haven't heard Colt cry in a while. Your apron.
Oh. Markham had bought one, and it's going to be here on Tuesday.
Oh,
that is how quickly that is coming, guys. Like,
Right.
they're only a week out on orders.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that was quick.
go into the S4 store at www.s-4radio.com and get your apron, because you can have it within a week. You can
Or
be
your hat, or
barbecuing
your
next
mug,
Sunday.
or your socks.
The apron is the best thing on there. Don't even.
Hey, let me ask you guys: have you gone back to the trail yet and finished your investigation over there yet? Or
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow
Yeah.
night. Tomorrow night.
We
Tomorrow
just
night.
got,
Yep.
we just
tomorrow
got a
night
key
will be-
piece of gear in this week.
Yeah, we're gonna play with some pointy sticks tomorrow afternoon, and then
Yep.
head over there.
Ooh.
26 with
Yeah.
bullets.
Bulleted pointy stick.
We have a 308 to zero in.
Yeah.
A what?
His 308. He has a 308 to zero tomorrow.
All right.
So tomorrow is range day here on S4, and get some pointy stick zeroed in.
Joe, duck.
And on that note, y'all stay safe. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Same great time, same great hour. And don't forget,
Yay!
keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.